Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
One of Louisiana's entrepreneurial success stories, Brandon Landry of Walk-Ons, joins us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
The LCTCS Foundation advocates for every Louisiana community and technical college in the system to keep them on the cutting edge of training and technology. Aligned with businesses across the state, they ensure students develop the highest possible level of skills, keeping Louisiana business and industry ahead of the pack. Visit this website to support the LCTCS Foundation for a higher Louisiana for all.
Before you hire someone to work on your home or business, protect yourself. Go to lacontractor.org and make sure he or she is licensed in Louisiana. That's lacontractor.org for a list of over 26,000 licensed contractors. It's your money. Make wise decisions and protect yourself.
Today we're in Lafourche Parish, Louisiana, where we're building terraces along the hurricane levee system. These terraces will provide shoreline protection in the marsh, which will protect homes and businesses in South Louisiana.
So our terracing projects is a great partnership with industry to prove that we can help the environment and protect our levee system. Without investments from the industry and companies like Chevron, projects like this would not be possible.
In Louisiana, oil and gas and the community are all connected.
Industry partners help Ducks Unlimited do what we do best, protect South Louisiana.
Louisiana has over 26,000 licensed companies that do business legally and meet the needs of our state. Before selecting a contractor, check references and verify the license at lacontractor.org. It's your money. Make wise decisions and protect yourself from being scammed.
For 8 seconds in the arena before an afternoon in the field. For a promise to students that honors success in the classroom. For championships earned on the bayou. For innovators committed to reclaiming our coastline. The Universities of Louisiana. For your future. For our future.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. One of our state's bright young entrepreneurs, Brandon Landry, he's the founder and CEO of Walk-Ons, is our guest. Buddy, welcome back.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me back.
Glad to have you here and got lots to talk about. I think that most people understand a little bit about the Walk-On story now, and we're going to talk about the number of restaurants you have now and the number of stores across the country and the phenomenal growth that you've had. But take us back, Brandon, to your days as a walk-on the LSU basketball team. You and Jack Warner sort of birthing the idea of this restaurant.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost 25 years since the idea came about, but yeah, we were walk-ons, you know, those guys that just play for the true love of the game. And really it's what we built our business on today. Everything about playing for the team. And, you know, figured out pretty early on in my career, I probably wasn't going to get paid to play the game of basketball. My junior year, I played 7 minutes. For you guys that know anything about basketball, that's not a whole hell of a lot. There's 40 minutes in every game. But, you know, look, everything that we learned about being a great teammate, being a part of something bigger than ourselves was learned about being that walk-on. And so, we were literally on the way back from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. I think we got beat by about 30 points. It wasn't a very good year. It was John Brady's second year. And that little bev nap on the plane, we started doodling on it. And we said, man, let's do this place. Nobody knew our names. And so we said, let's call it Walk-Ons. And we didn't know anything about the restaurant business. You know, we were just basketball players in college, 19, 20 years old. I grew up a sugarcane farmer's son. It's not like I came from this restaurant background, but it was an idea, right? And so we went back to LSU in an entrepreneurship class and did it as a school project. We had to do a business plan and we got a C. Dr. Robert Justice, he was there forever in the business school. And he said, look, it's not necessarily the idea, but you need some help with the business plan. And so we just got better at it and we kept working at it. And we finally got our business plan. We were ready to take it to some banks and we were ready to roll. We felt like we had an A project at that point. But the restaurant business is risky in itself, especially two young guys like us with little to no experience. And so the first bank said, yeah, but no. And we went to number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6. They all said, no. What did we do? What does a walk-on do? You go to number 7. And number 7, Mr. Mike Anderson, the banker here out of Baton Rouge, and partnered with SBA banker, Mr. Andre Frugier from Louisiana Capital out of Lafayette. Never forget, walked in their office and they said, guys, if you're willing to bust your tail, we're willing to back you. We said, what does that mean, sir? He said, it means you got a lot of debt at an early age. Good luck. Make sure you pay your note. And the rest is kind of history. That was in 2002.
Right. And so we think about going from drawing it on a napkin to developing a business plan, getting a C in your entrepreneur class, being rejected by the banks, but then getting that first store opened on Burbank Drive in Baton Rouge in 2003. Just happened to be, I guess, pretty lucky that was a national championship football year
we took
for
credit
LSU.
for that, of course.
Right, but certainly helped there. But some early success in that first restaurant, right?
Yes and no. I mean, look, with every success story you hear, there's a little bit of luck. Sometimes there's a lot of luck. We got a great piece of property. And I'll be the first to admit, that property got us through the first couple of years. Being right there next to Tiger Stadium, Alec Box Stadium, and those big events, we really couldn't mess up pouring a Bud Light or a Crown and Coke. But it's funny. What we're known for today is great food in a sports bar setting, right? As we're going throughout the country. The original napkin, if you go into one of our restaurants, all of our bev naps are the original drawing. We forgot to draw the kitchen. And it just kind of shows you what our priorities were at 19 or 20 years old. But we weren't good in the beginning. I'll be the first to admit, look, we were very inconsistent, very young, green team. But we got through it. It was just that walk-on mindset, that underdog mindset is like, let's just get better. It's not like we came in these industry vets that were, back when I did it this way. No, let's learn. Let's get better. Let's get our team behind us. And those are still the values that we live on today. I'm a prime example is that I didn't know anything about the restaurant business, but I cared about our team. And in return, our team cared about us and our product. And so we just kept getting better.
Kept getting better from there. At what point did you realize we've got something that's franchisable here? At what point did you say, all right, we're kind of over the hump in this single restaurant. We ought to think about taking this to a different location. Now, I know at first you didn't franchise. Yeah. You owned the expansion.
Yeah.
So talk about that expansion and then that mindset around, all right, we might have something here that we can really grow.
Yeah, so we did our second location here in Baton Rouge, and then we took the big leap of faith and went to Lafayette. And that was 10 years after we opened up the original location. And we spent those 9 or 10 years just getting better. We had to look at ourselves in the mirror after a few years and say, look, we can go down this road of being a
Every business does.
You do. And we were going down that road of being a prototypical sports bar. And by saying that, there's nothing wrong with those guys out there, but it was a place you came in to watch a game, drink a beer. If you get really hungry, you might order some freezer or fryer food. Yeah. And we didn't want to be that. And so we had to take a hard look and say, let's just get better. Let's take our culture that we had from inception and take it to another level. But let's look at our product. Let's look at our training. Let's look at all our systems. And so we started just surrounding ourselves with really good people. And so we went to Lafayette, which is a culinary, it's a great little area.
Right.
And so you got to know what you're doing over there. And we went to Lafayette and we just knocked the doors off. And then the following year, we went to New Orleans on Poydras Street. And the old Smith & Wolinski's, they never opened up after Hurricane Katrina, did really well there. But the big kicker was in 2012, we were nominated and won ESPN's #1 sports bar in America. An award's an award, and sometimes you get the little trophy and you put it on your shelf, but that just gave us some credibility.
Right. It gave you some buzz.
It did.
Right?
It did. And so at that point, we really kind of looked at our concept and said, man, we may have something special here.
Let's take a break. We come back. I want to talk about going from that point forward, the business partners that you've brought in, including Drew Brees, obviously, and sort of the process that you went through to get this to the point where it is today and the phenomenal growth that you guys are recognizing. We're visiting with Brandon Landry of Walk-Ons. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
LCTCS Foundation advocates for every Louisiana community and technical college in the system to keep them on the cutting edge of training and technology. Aligned with businesses across the state, they ensure students develop the highest possible level of skills, keeping Louisiana business and industry ahead of the pack. Visit this website to support the LCTCS Foundation for a higher Louisiana for all.
Plants would not be operating if they weren't operating under the regulations to keep everybody safe and keep the environment safe.
It also goes back to the end products that our raw materials go into. Solar panels, windmills.
Reusable bottles. Primary product is acrylonitrile, which is used to make carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber in an airplane is used to make it lighter.
By reducing weight, we indirectly help the environment because it uses less fuel. And for us to make products that help reduce carbon footprint is a big deal.
So, how can I help you today?
Maybe you're looking for a bigger home. Maybe you have plans to grow your business. Or maybe all your plans have just changed. For the better. Whether you're planning for the future or just looking for a bank that cares about you. If you have a goal, let's make it happen.
This is what you're looking for.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk-Ons, is our guest. So we get the first restaurant open in 2003. We expand one location in Baton Rouge. You make the decision to take the concept to Lafayette. You see some success there. You get an opportunity on Poydras Street in New Orleans. You get that restaurant open. All of a sudden now you win the ESPN award and there's some buzz about the concept, right? There's some buzz about the food. There's some buzz about the experience. Is it at that point you recognized, hey, we might have something that we can franchise here and take? Talk about that process.
Yeah, I mean, the things that we got the award for, it proved that we were getting credit for what we hoped we were getting credit for. One thing was our culture. They came in and they saw a happy place that people wanted to be a part of that team. A family-friendly sports atmosphere. It wasn't just guys hanging out. It was women, it was children, it was families, it was everything.
But let's stop on that point for a second, because one of the things we certainly want to talk about is your very famous business partner, Drew Brees. Isn't that specifically what attracted Drew when he stopped into your New Orleans location?
Absolutely. I mean, he's a family guy, right? And of course, he's the ultimate teammate. But when his first time he came in there, he brought his kids in there. Yeah. And his kids loved it. His wife loved it. And so he said, look, of course, every athlete's dream is to own a sports grill. But when it includes the families, he was just very attracted to that. And so that was a big part for us. And then the last thing is we saw that was scalable was Louisiana. I mean, when you're talking Louisiana cuisine, Louisiana culture, everything that we talk about being down here, we always said we don't eat to live down here, you live to eat. And so when you had a sports restaurant that had all those things, and then you could get duck and andouille gumbo and bacon wrapped shrimp stuff with jalapeno and cream cheese, that's when people started coming to us and like, are you guys expanding? How are you growing this? And so that was in 2012, and we took the next couple of years because, look, you hear the goods and the bads of franchising, and one thing I wanted to be on the good side. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a product and a system that we could scale the right way. And so we took the next almost 3 years just really solidifying what our values and our systems and our processes to make sure before we opened it up and sold the very first franchise that we had support, human capital, and processes and systems to support all of those franchisees out there. And so it was big. And so we sold our very first one in Lake Charles. The first one to open, though, was Shreveport, Louisiana. And when we opened up there and we started selling crawfish etouffee and like I said, gator and gumbo and things like that were just going off the shelves, that's when the momentum started. And then once you have a good product and a good system behind it, the franchisees kind of sell it for you. Yeah. And as potential franchisees come to the map, they go talk to those guys and gals and they sell it for us.
Talk about the current footprint now, Brandon. I think you mentioned you're at 60 plus locations now with another 100 plus in the works. Talk about the scale of walk-ons today.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So when we sold our very first franchise, that was number 8, and that was in 2015. And here we are in 2022, and we have 64 operating restaurants as of today. We'll open close to another 20 this year, so we'll be over 80 restaurants at the end of 2022, and over another 150 in development. Over 200 restaurants sold or either in development over the next 5 to 7 years.
And do you expect the vast majority of those 150 or so that are in development to actually open at some point?
They're paid for. That territory is no longer available. We've just been kind of taking the mindset of building our circle a little bit larger as we go for obvious reasons, branding, but also supply chain and distribution and things like that. But look, we're out in Las Vegas, we're out in Phoenix, we're down in Kendall, south of Miami, we're up to the Virginia and the Carolinas, we're heading up to Ohio, we got a group out of Minneapolis coming. So, we're probably the only 2 spots of the country that we're really not focusing on right now is the upper Northeast and the upper Northwest.
Yeah. So I know that your title is founder and CEO, but I also know that you consider yourself the chief culture officer in the organization, right? That the culture, and you mentioned it earlier, the culture of what you built and the culture of these restaurants, although they're owned by franchisees now, you believe that maintaining that culture is critically important. Talk about the culture, Brandon, and the role that you play in sustaining it.
Look, it's everything to me. People can come and they can take our recipes, they can build the buildings as nice as we do, they can put up 4 more TVs than us, but they can't steal what we've built. Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, the great ones out there in this segment, it's all built on a great culture. And ours is very simple and it's authentic, of course, to me. It's that underdog mindset. It's everyone plays a huge part in being successful. And I was the walk-on, right? I was the 12th, 13th guy on the bench. I knew I wasn't going to play against Kentucky in Rupp Arena when we went up there. But I also knew that my contribution on the team that week of practice, getting our team ready to play Kentucky, was just as important. And our teammates knew that. I wasn't going to be in the box score the next morning. But we were the reason why we were successful. It's the same concept. If you're the general manager, if it's your first day on the job,
if you're washing dishes, that's right.
Guess what? If that dishwasher walks out of the building, you know how bad the shift's going to be? The general manager is going to be washing dishes, right? So, it's a very simple concept, but we celebrate it. And it's important to us, and it's recognition is huge to us as well. And our franchise partners and everyone on the team has really bought in, and that's the reason for our success today.
And I know for a fact that as these new restaurants open, your presence there initially early on, helping, training, the culture, critically important as well. Let's take a break. We come back. I want to talk about the growth and what it's meant. I want to talk about a difficult decision that you had to make to move part of your operation in terms of the headquarters out of Louisiana.
Yes.
We'll do that when we return. We're visiting with Brandon Landry of Walk-Ons. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Growing up in Baton Rouge, I used to always pass up ExxonMobil, but I never thought that I would actually have the opportunity to get on. But what I thought was impossible turned out to be possible. So I just feel like it's just a wonderful opportunity to be able to provide for my family.
We are committed to being a community partner. We are actively working to recruit the talent here in Baton Rouge, and we want to bring them into our workforce. We're ready.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk-Ons, is our guest. So phenomenal growth, 65, 66 restaurants currently operating, another 100 plus in development. But you had to make a pretty difficult decision. A Louisiana native, you started your restaurant in Louisiana. It's headquartered here still today, but you've had to take a part of your operation and move it to Atlanta. Why?
Yeah, look, we're Louisiana. I'm born and raised here in South Louisiana, and the Walk-On's headquarters will always be Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But as you grow a company, as you scale it, we have to add talent. We've had to add just more infrastructure, more human capital, and it was. I'll be honest with you, it's been difficult getting people to move to this area. I hate it. I don't understand it, from being down here. But once you kind of start hitting a national search for C-level, and don't get me wrong, there's tons of talent here, but just restaurant specific in the areas that we needed. We were getting people to very interested in our brand, but it was just a little bit more difficult. So, look, if in a perfect world, I would love to have everything here. It's a small satellite office that we're going to open, or we have opened in Atlanta. That's just going to, house a few of our great ladies and gentlemen up there. But the majority of our talent is here.
And Brandon, I think that there is a general awareness about that issue in the business community in the greater Baton Rouge area, the greater New Orleans area particularly. Look, BRAC wouldn't have as one of its key drivers for the next 5 years talent development if that weren't the case. Let's talk about a couple of other restaurant concepts that you're into now. Obviously, you solidified the Walk-Ons brand and you solidified that process going forward. But now you've opened up a new concept that you are franchising now, Smalls. Talk about that, and then we'll also talk about your new sort of dinner club.
Yeah. Small sliders. Yeah, it's. Look, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart, right? And so Walk-Ons takes about 103% of my time. And so, but I did have this concept. And so my nephew, good buddy, Jacob Dugas, he and I sat down and we kind of just came up with Smalls. And it was taking our cheeseburger sliders from Walk-Ons and just making a whole concept out of it. Fast food, drive-through only. We have a little outdoor seating, but it's very simple.
Yep.
Kind of took a page out of my good buddy Todd Graves' book with Raising Cane's and just said, look, let's do it one thing and let's do it better than anybody else and do it cooked to order. And it's taken off. So we have a couple locations up now and lots of franchise interest out there, and we'll be growing this pretty rapidly as well.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Obviously, you opened the first location on Nicholson, just outside LSU, just down from the original Walk-Ons, and it's been something that I've frequented and enjoyed, and so it'll be interesting to see how that grows going forward.
I tell people they're fat free if you don't eat them.
That's right, if you don't eat them. You're spreading out a little bit farther as well, right? You've got this supper club, dinner club concept that you're opening in Baton Rouge now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's once again, I love the city and everything that we've been here forever, and so I just wanted to bring something a little bit different to Baton Rouge, and I've been fortunate enough to travel throughout the country and see different cities that have great dining concepts, and it's just bringing something. Look, we're not reinventing the restaurant wheel world, but it's just bringing a little bit of atmosphere with a dinner setting, no lunch, no Sunday brunches. It's going to be five shifts, Tuesday through Saturday nights, and just create a meaningful moment for people here in town. We're sourcing some products from around the world, literally. Japan for our Wagyu. We're down in New Zealand for our salmon, and it's going to be really cool. But bring just a special atmosphere and make it just a little bit different.
Well, there's been some really nice build-up for it in Baton Rouge as well. Anticipated open date?
Yeah, middle of May. We're looking right around May 11th to May 15th, somewhere around there. Depending on construction, supply chain,
right.
And that's
exactly.
It's the famous excuse right now, but it really is a real thing. So if we can get all our equipment in.
Be good. Listen, every business leader I've talked to over the course of the last 2 years, the conversation generally comes around to managing, leading their organization through the pandemic. Particularly difficult on the restaurant business, right? Talk about it.
Yeah, look, there was no class, there was no mentor that you dealt with back in the day that said, look, the next global pandemic, this is what you do. So it's literally digging deep. You know, when I think at the time we had around 50 restaurants, and they tell us you got 12 hours to shut your doors, and we don't know when you're going to open, and maybe you can do takeout. And being the leader of the organization, we had to look at ourselves and say, okay, what do we do here? And you know, I did a lot of reflecting. You know, maybe listening to podcasts and just trying to get my mind right. And I think one of the best ones that I heard was he was an old Navy SEAL, Chad Wright. And he talked about Hell Week and how you get through it. And he said, look, if you start on Monday and you wonder, okay, can I get to Thursday or can I get to, let me think about that. He goes, they never make it. He goes, my mindset when I woke up in the morning, when they woke me up at 4 a.m., he goes, let me get to breakfast. He goes, when I'm eating breakfast, he's like, can I get to lunch? And honestly, not just us,
it, right?
Everyone in the world had to do that. It's like, how do we, look, we don't know what's going to change today, but the one thing I knew, let's take care of our people. Let's make sure that they know that they're taken care of. Let's feed them. Let's try to keep everyone on payroll, and we'll figure this out. And like I said, there's no one we could call and say, what did you do in the 80s when this happened? But we knew, and that's where, go back to our culture,
right?
The companies that had a strong foundation going into the pandemic came out of it, or are coming out of it, a lot stronger than they went into it. The ones that didn't, it was the kiss of death. And you see it across the world right now.
Well, and you guys have come back strong, obviously, and the best is yet to come, both for small sliders, for walk-ons, for your new concept, and for you and your family. Listen, the older I get, the more I celebrate other people's success. And it's been fun to watch it, man, not only because you're a friend and your family, but because it's a true Louisiana story. Keep up the good work, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for all the support throughout the years. I think I did this show back a
few
years ago when we had a couple locations. I appreciate you doing that now. And thanks for everyone out there for supporting our great brand.
You got it, brother. That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.